Alright, so how exactly am I going to do this? I need to figure out how to basically this like select from. I need to figure out how to do that. I need to like select the information, so I need to be able to join on it from a just a straight selection. Do I do anything like that? Because we do basically a select on a separate table here, but I want like to pass in the explicit things that I want to join on it. SQL stuff. Why? Um, so let me see. How do you do comments? Pound, alright. Alright, how does this work? It's... Alright, see you later, Carcan. I still gotta deal with my database. Yeah, the question is, can we predefine these rows that we're trying to snag? So it'll be like we're basically trying to select these values, but we want to select. We basically just want like this temporary table of stuff. Otherwise, we can make these temp tables which exist for the length of the database connection. It seems like a really bad plan to make a whole bunch of fucking temp tables. I mean, we can select columns, but I guess we can't select from like past and variables. Urgh. So it's supposed to create a temporary table, insert stuff into the temp table, insert new entries into the original table, increment entries that already exist by the new values. So what exactly are we trying to do here? We are trying to increment entries that exist. So I mean, is a simpler thing basically a like a it's like insert into user stats. Um, well, it looks like our original query did work. It's just our temp table is all sorts of fucked. So let me see if I can come up with a different way to do this. So we can insert these things and then like so I mean that'll set it to 2, but what I want to do is I want to grab that value there and add it to it. So we want it to do like so I mean we can increment, so that'll be like +2, but we want this value here. So how do we do that? Alright, so that should add 1 to it, so it should be, what, 5? Did that actually work? Alright, let's try 2 of these guys. So, okay, so maybe I can just get rid of all this trash. So what the hell was I doing before? I should do an insert equal with a on duplicate key in order to increment these things. What the hell was I thinking? Alright, so for this to work, we're not making a temp table. It's basically this yeah, SQL stuff is not my specialty, so I apologize. Alright, so we'll append all of this stuff, which is actually going to be like this. And then we'll do I don't understand why I didn't just do this to begin with. Like that seems like such an idiotic thing. Like in a transaction, create a temporary table, insert a whole bunch of shit, and then do this as opposed to just an insert on duplicate key, add. Like I can't believe I didn't. It just shows how much I know about databases that, I run in, I come back the next week and I'm like, what in the hell was I thinking? So okay, that's fine with me. Okay, so that's account ID, stat context, stat name, stat value, values, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then blah. So, okay, that should just work. Okay, so for this one, it should be this insert into, and then we need our and we'll get all of our values, and then we basically do duplicate key. I mean, God, that's so much simpler. And now we don't have any temporary tables anywhere. What? Like, oh man. Well, let's see if it magically works here with our ridiculously much better thing. Failure to connect. Yeah, there we go. Thing's still running in the background. No, I didn't mean to compile. On duplicate key update. Alright. I'm just gotta wait for a second for this thing to actually tick over. Now assuming relay master role. Awesome. So now we can log in. At least we should be able to shortly. There we are. Error exception on duplicate key update. User stat history. Alright, well, let's select our user stats and see what we got. We've got an empty account ID, which is not good. Offline, but our stat values are looking alright. We've got our wins and our wins in a row and everything like that. Let's just make sure that that works here. Wins in a row, own goals 2, loss in a row 0, BTS. Alright, so everything actually looks good for that. The other thing here is not, so what's going on? It looks like we've got one too many parentheses going on in our call. Yeah, so we have a leading paren there. That's wrong. Call to report stats. It didn't error. Alright. Well, let's see if it didn't error, if it actually did anything decently. So what was our user stats history? Insert into user stats history, values, on duplicate key, stat value equals stat value plus blah. User results history is not what we want. We want user stats history. So we've got interval ID for all these intervals. What is this interval right here? Interval context, online, offline. Alright, why don't we just get rid of all these? I think we got some old rows. Question is, why isn't our account ID set to anything? Let's go to our request. Account ID is empty. I guess is empty doesn't actually work. Alright, so basically what we want is, let's just do the length here for this guy. Alright, let's throw those guys up there. Restart this guy. And I will be right back. Alright, so I think this is built, so where is my cursor? There it is. Let's put this thing up. I hope not. Alright. Boot up. And call to report stats. Let's check our stats. Oh man, it looks like we actually got stats now. So we've these are different intervals. So this user interval is the so that's the all-time interval, and then this one is the all-time interval. What? Oh, we have the online stat context and then interval context. Right, alright. So these are getting reported right, but our user stat history is putting it in the wrong spot. So how are we building our user stat history? Port stats. Alright, insert into... Alright, we got that. It's this. So we're going through for every interval in our interval result. So fetch latest stat intervals. And our intervals have interval contexts. So we want all the intervals that match our specific context. This is like offline or online. So fetch latest stat intervals. And we're also going to want a specific context for those intervals. And this is supposed to be interval name, not context. Interval context. Alright, so we need the interval context. We need like where interval context equals group by the interval name, and that should give us all the stuff that we need. Fetch latest stat intervals. Alright, that's okay, that's okay. Fetch stat history, fetch stat intervals, so it'll grab everything. No, it's wrong. Alright, so group by result name. Fetch latest stat. Group by, can we group by 2 or more variables? Yeah, group by 2 columns. Using group by in multiple columns. Group by X means okay, so we've already selected a specific interval context, so that's fine. And so I think this will work. We go by the context and the name, so we'll get everything for those. So when we fetch our latest stat intervals for, yeah, so that's fine, that's what we want. It's really just for the reporting, I believe. So it's report stats, And it's basically we want to report the stats only for the things that we care about. Why do the user intervals have context? They're just weekly, daily, blah. And then user stat history has a stat context and an interval context, but we also have an interval ID. They're kind of this just primary things. Could I just get rid of the interval context entirely and just work that way? So we have the stat contexts. Like, why do we have interval contexts? There's offline and online for interval contexts, but does that matter? Why do we have them? We have result contexts. Why do we have interval contexts? Yeah, I don't see any interval context anywhere. I mean, it's basically that we want the so I guess we can get rid of those, actually. That's what it looks like. So if we go to stat interval, so we get rid of the interval context. So we just have these intervals. I mean, the interval context could be something along the lines of the name of the interval. Like we have seasonal, and the context could be something else. Okay, so the problem is that we're using offline and online. So the interval context would mainly just be a sugarcoat. It would just be stuff on there that we care about in case we want to know some extra information about it. Like it's a seasonal thing, but the context is update 1. So it'd be like, okay, this is the rotating like patch thing, and this was update 1. That makes sense. But why do we have online, offline? So let me just go down here. So basically, we don't want to group by the interval context ever, because it doesn't matter. We only care about the interval name. Interval context isn't going to matter here either, so we can just get rid of that. And we need the master stuff here to create intervals. So monthly rollover context. What are our contexts? Stat context. Yeah, so this is the problem right here. So we probably want the configuration file to determine the context then. So if we want to change that value, we need to update our configuration file. So check interval should probably so it should probably be something like that. So let's go change our configs. And let's change the others as well. Alright, so I think we've got that going. So we'll get our context, we'll grab the latest one out of there, and we'll do all the things. So I just dropped all the tables for these things so I can remake them. Oh no, that was production. Just let's see the out SQL stats. Okay, so that should all exist now. Okay, let's put this thing back up. So you have all our stat intervals, we'll do all our things. Let's see what we get. So we should only have some basic things rolling around. It should make much more sense now for us. Creating new interval for all time, update 5 seasonal. Alright, so if we go to user intervals, we see all time, monthly, daily, update 5 seasonal, weekly. And this interval context could be like current week or like current month if we really wanted to. Would that be something we should do? I mean, it actually sounds pretty damn smart to do that sort of thing, because our context will get updated and it'll tell you like what day or what week or what month. Alright. So don't I just go ahead and do that? Well, let's see. No. Let's keep it. Let's keep it as it is. It's fine. We have other information on this, so let's put this thing back up. Alright, so we reported our stats. So you've got offline for this guy, it's got all those, and our stat history is... We've got all time, daily, monthly, update 5, and weekly. So